So the reason we got this video here today is because I got a suggestion on my last lesson to make a lesson of this song, and it was really fun to go back to listen to this old song and also to relearn it. And what I can add before we start is that in this song he uses 2 guitars, but I have tailored this lesson towards using only 1 guitar, so it isn't exactly like the original, note for note. And another thing is that, in my last lessons, I have stressed the importance of using a metronome, but I think this song breaks out a lot of rules, and I don't really think that's the most important focus in this song. But there are a lot of other valuable takeaways from this lesson, as you will see. So yeah, hopefully you'll find it very useful. And let's start the lesson. Alright, so the intro and the outro consist of the same 3 chords, and they are D9, and the frets starting from the A string are 5, 4, 5, 5, 5, and the A string is played with your thumb, and then 1 finger per string like this. And the next chord is the C9 chord, so same shape, you just move it down 2 frets, and then a classic E minor chord. And you can see the tabs on the screen, and they are played like this. And you can notice something there. First of all, there is a swing to it, so you do not play it straight like that, but you have like a swing to it. And another thing is that that upstroke there on the 3 higher strings, I found that you do get your best results with the upstroke, because then you can attack it in a very intense way. But so if you do a downstroke like that, I don't really find you get the effect that you want. And it's easier to make sure you just play 3 strings. If you do a downstroke, you have better control, but it's not really the end of the world if you play the D string and the upstroke as well, as long as you have that right attack and right feel. So yeah, you play what I just played there 4 times, and the second time and the 4th time you do a little chromatic fill where you walk up the fretboard, like that. So the second time you go into the E chord or the E minor chord, what you do is you kind of chop it off, and you kind of chop it off in order to leave room for the fill. So what you get is like that. So one more time. And the 4th time you play the E minor chord is pretty much the same thing, but on the E string. So yeah, if you put all of that together, what you got for the intro, playing those 4 bars, what you got is this. And after that, you go into what I just named the transition run. So the next note after that is the 3rd fret on the G string. So, and in the song he uses 2 guitars, but in this lesson we just use 1 guitar. So we modified this bit a little bit to make it more suitable. So what I play is the G5 chord and the A7 chord. So that is 3, 5, 5 and 5, 4, 5. And I didn't really find it resourceful to write exactly how to play it in the tab, because it's more about the feel, and it feels like I do it differently each time. So what I wrote in the tab is to play it like this. But if you play it so exact, then you don't really get the vibe, and you can't really convey that in a tab anyway. So how I play it is more like, then the next part. So it's kind of like the tab, but you play it more sloppy, you know. So, and especially in the A7 chord, I tend to integrate more strings than just isolate the strings perfectly. So yeah, the transition again is. And then you get to this rhythmic part. And yeah, what he plays there essentially is, you know, first this. So 6, 5, skip, mute the string, and then 9. And the other chord, or whatever you want to call it, pattern is the same thing, but the 7th fret on the G string. And the pattern slowly is like this. So yeah, something like that. So faster, what you got is. And you only do it 2 times, but I played 4 times to just hammer it in there. So yeah, and then you get to the main part of what I call the rhythmic part. So you kind of want to break this up into 2 parts. The first is to just learn the pattern and the strumming pattern, and that is what we do now. So, you know, on the tab it says, but that is not really how we play it. You know, it's more like that, you know, can't stop kind of thing. We play all the strings and mute those that you do not want to hear. So you get something like this. So one thing that I struggle with here is to keep my index finger on a level where I mute the other string perfectly. So I even failed now, so like this. It's actually harder than you think, especially when you start playing those strings below. So you don't want to get something like this. Because then you have your index finger too low, but you don't want to have it too high, because then you obviously get open strings. Like that. And I found it quite easy to make the mistake of, you know, getting this result. And you know, I still kind of do, so it's actually a bit harder than you might think to play it super cleanly. But for the pattern itself, slowly it is like this. So you start off with this. So there's a fast one there where you play a note both on the downstroke and the upstroke. So that one. But after that, it is, you know, it is just, you know, an upstroke with a note, and then a downstroke that is muted, and an upstroke with a note, and downstroke muted, you know, so like that. So slowly what we get is so yeah, practice that pattern and then you can play it faster like this. And one thing to notice there is that you want to hit the bass string on the E string quite intensely. You want to put emphasis on that first, you know, like that. But when you play the high strings, when you do those muted strums, you still want to fret the E string. And it's okay if you hit that string as well, but you don't really want to put emphasis on it when you play the high strings, if that makes sense. So yeah, and another thing is in the original, in the beginning of that rhythmic part, I do believe he plays more than just one E string, you know, something like this. But I found it inconvenient to, you know, play the riff that way. So to make it convenient for one guitar, because at the end of the day, I think it's more important to have the strumming technique correctly than playing exactly all the notes that he played. And I think he, later on that he just play one string for the bass notes anyway. So yeah, I think it's fine to do it like that. So yeah, with that in mind, we can now play that pattern at full speed. like that. So now we got the first part down, and the other part that you need to focus on now is memorizing how he moves this pattern, because the pattern is quite consistent. It's just that he either moves the bass string or the higher string, that pattern, or both of them between different runs. And in one instance he actually changed the higher strings pattern, this. At one time he plays it like this. So instead of it's so yeah, and what I have written down in the tab is just what you play for one round, and one round for me is. So for that pattern, what I have written in the tab is just those notes, because that makes it possible for you to get an overview of it. Because if I write all the notes for all the rounds, I found that it just gets messy. What you really need is that overview. So it can be a bit tricky to memorize this, because the changes can appear quite random. But one pattern that I found is that you can see a pattern for the low E string, and that is that he plays the 7th fret for 2 rounds, and then the 6th fret for 2 rounds, and then the 5th fret for 2 rounds, and then 6 1 round, 7 1 round, 8 1 round, and 9 fret 1 round. And also I play that with my middle finger, and then the higher strings with my ring finger and index finger. So yeah, I think we can play that whole rhythmic part now slowly. So yeah, here we go. And you can notice that I still struggle with my index finger to mute the strings properly. But yeah, let's play that again, but at full speed. I kind of messed up there in the end, but yeah, you kind of want to, actually on the last round, you kind of want to strum even harder and maybe even sloppier to kind of create the effect of it, being a structure just starts to break down. And then you get to what I call the solo part, which is pretty much a chord followed by a little lick. And then you alternate between those two. And it starts off with a B flat chord. And traditionally, you play it like this. But I don't really like this voicing at all for this vibe of the song. So I play it like this. And that is, the frets are 6, 5, muted, muted, and then 6 on the B string. And it's the same chord, it got the root, the 3rd, and the 5th, but it has, a different vibe to it, a different voicing. And then you do this simple little lick. So putting it together at full speed. And then you kind of stay there for quite a while, and then you play the next chord quite slowly, like that. And here what you play is from the E string 5, 4, muted, and 6. So, and then after the chord, the lick is. Yeah, putting that together, you got. And then after that, you play this, instead of a whole chord, you just played this bass note here, the 6th fret of the E string. And then the run is. So again. And after that, you just play the 7th fret of the E string with your thumb, and then you just play the G string of the 7th fret 4 times. And then after that you play, you know, just this, as you can see in the tab. So, you know, just the G and the B string. And you can want to make sure you mute the high E, so you can kind of put a lot of force into it. So yeah, that's solo run, or whatever you want to call it. Slowly is. And at full speed what we got is. And now we're ready for the outro, and it's mainly the same thing as the intro, but different fills. And the fills are for the first bar, second bar, and third bar. Yeah, for the first bar, the fill is. It comes here, and what you do is a hammer on. And I like to pluck the open string that comes upwards. Like that, so not. Because you kind of want to add a lot of power to that open string, both the hammer-on and the open string, so you need to pick it 2 times. So, and then the same thing as normal for the E minor chord, and then you play this again, and then the fills comes for the E minor chord, and it goes like this. So, you know, slowly that is. Again. And then you play this for the third bar as normal. And then the fill comes for the E minor chord again, and what you do is. So, you know, you just bend the high E string of the 5th fret 3 times. And then the 4 times, you do a bend and release to the 3rd. And then you play the 5th fret of the B string. So. And then, you know, the 4th time, what he does is that he doesn't play the E minor chord for the rest of the bar, you know, he just interrupts it, and then the song is done, so. Then end it there. So yeah, let's just play that outro, and I think we can do it at full speed. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully you found that helpful, and I like to simply end by saying thank you very much for watching, and if you want more lessons, please like the video so both me and the YouTube algorithm knows that you want more lessons, and if you don't want that, please let me know what else you like to see, and until then, I see you in the